Once upon a time, in a grand city filled with towering minarets and bustling markets, there lived a wise and powerful judge. He was known throughout the land for his fairness and deep knowledge of the law. People traveled from far and wide to seek his rulings, for they trusted that he would deliver justice with wisdom and integrity. One day, as the judge sat in his grand courtroom, listening to the cases of merchants, traders, and noblemen, a frail, old woman entered. Her clothes were tattered, her face lined with years of hardship, and her eyes, though weary, held a quiet strength. She walked forward slowly, her footsteps barely making a sound on the polished marble floor. The room fell silent as she stood before the mighty judge, her hands trembling as she clutched a single silver coin. The plea of the poor woman. The judge, curious about this unexpected visitor, leaned forward.
"Speak, old mother. What brings you here today?"
The woman took a deep breath and said,
"My lord, I come seeking justice."
The courtroom murmured. What injustice could a woman of such little means have suffered? She continued,
"I am but a poor widow. I have nothing in this world except my faith and my dignity. For days, I have wandered the streets, my stomach empty, my strength fading. And then, yesterday, as I passed by the grand bakery in the marketplace, I smelled the most wonderful aroma, the scent of freshly baked bread. I stood outside, my hunger gnawing at me, breathing in that warm, delicious air."
Tears welled in her eyes as she clutched the silver coin tighter.
"I did not steal, my lord. I took nothing. I only stood there, enjoying the smell, letting it fill me, as if it could somehow ease my hunger. But the baker saw me, and he grew angry.
The courtroom listened intently.
He stormed outside and accused me of stealing.
The woman continued, her voice shaking.
He said that if I had taken the smell of his bread, I must pay for it. And so, he demanded my last silver coin."
Gasps filled the courtroom. Some chuckled at the absurdity. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The judge, his face unreadable, turned to the baker, who stood proudly, arms crossed.
"Is this true?"
The judge asked. The baker nodded.
"Yes, my lord. This woman took the smell of my bread without paying. The scent is part of what I sell. If she enjoyed it, she must pay for it."
The judge was silent for a long moment. Then, he slowly reached into his robe and pulled out a small pouch of coins. He took one gold coin and held it high. The room watched in anticipation. Then, in a swift motion, the judge tossed the gold coin into the air. It spun, catching the light, and fell back into his palm. The sound of the coin landing echoed through the silent courtroom. The judge then turned to the baker and said,
"There. You have been paid."
The baker frowned.
"My lord, I don't understand. That coin never reached me."
The judge's eyes gleamed with wisdom.
"And yet,"
he said,
"you demanded payment for something unseen. Just as the old woman took only the smell of your bread, you have now received only the sound of my coin."
A hush fell over the courtroom. Then, laughter rippled through the crowd. The baker's face turned red with embarrassment. He lowered his head, realizing his own foolishness. The judge smiled at the old woman.
"Keep your coin, mother. Justice has been served."
Tears filled her eyes, this time, not from sorrow, but from gratitude. She bowed deeply, whispering,
"May you always be blessed, my lord."
As she turned to leave, the room erupted into applause. The people, moved by the wisdom of their judge, whispered his name with admiration. And from that day forward, the city remembered not only his fairness, but also the lesson that true justice sees beyond wealth, beyond power, and beyond greed. This story teaches us something profound about fairness, wisdom, and human nature. So often in life, we see greed disguised as fairness. People demand more than they deserve, insisting on payment for things that cost them nothing. But true justice does not belong to the loudest or the wealthiest. It belongs to those who act with integrity. The judge's wisdom reminds us that not everything can be measured in gold and silver. Some things, like kindness, respect, and human dignity, are beyond price. So, the next time you see injustice, big or small, remember this story. Sometimes, the sound of a coin is worth just as much as the smell of bread. If this story moved you, like the video and subscribe for more powerful tales. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that makes you think, feel, and see life differently. And if this reminded you of someone, share it with them. It might be exactly what they need today. See you in the next story.